Barry Joyce from Smart, and welcome to this next video. Now, in these series of videos, we've been going through the practice categories on the CSCS test for 2025. Now, if you've been following the series, you may have known that there are approximately 710 questions on a CSCS test. Out of those 710-ish, you're going to be getting 50 questions. The 50 questions are broken down into these categories in front of you now, so the 16 categories. And down below in the video, there is a link for all the other categories. And this category, now what we're going to be doing is electrical safety, tools and equipment. Now in this category, you'll notice there are 43 questions. So out of the 43 questions, you're going to get 4 or 5 on your actual test. So on your CSCS test, you're going to get actual 4 or 5 questions. So I'm just going to click OK. And when it comes to the questions, I, like always on all my mock tests and all of the categories, I read the question out. Again, I highly recommend you read the question out on your CSCS test. You can get headphones and the voiceovers will be exactly the same you hear on the categories now. So I'll read the questions, I'll read the answers, and then hopefully I'll try and give you the correct answer along with some tips along the way. So question 1 of 43.
Which item of equipment would not require portable appliance testing? Pat. 110 volt extension lead. 110 volt transformer. Battery powered rechargeable drill. Plug-in portable halogen light.
So portable appliance testing, pat testing, anything with a plug has to be pat tested. So just look at the images, anything without the plug. So it's going to be that one there. So the answer is C.
What are the two main functions of the guards on cutting and grinding machines? To stop you coming into contact with the blade or wheel. To stop fragments flying into the air. To balance the machine. To stop materials getting onto the blade or wheel. To give you a firm handhold.
Okay, so we need two answers for this, and what we need to do is just drag our answers across, excuse me, into the boxes here. So the main functions of the guard, to stop you coming in contact with the wheel or the blade, well, yes, and it is going to stop fragments going into the air. Let's drag that across. And look what we're left with there. So them two make sense. And again, this is a great way to for your CSCS test, the way to do it. Just eliminate what you think the answers are and have a look at the ones you've got left. And when they don't make sense, you know that is correct there.
If a power tool has a portable appliance testing PAT label on it, what information should be included on the label? The tool's earth loop impedance. When the tool was made. Who tested the tool before it left the factory? When the tool was last tested?
Okay, so your pat testing, you normally get a label on the plug or the machine that's been pat tested, and it should tell you when it was last tested. Normally it gets done annually.
What is the main advantage of using battery-powered tools rather than electrical ones? They do not need to be tested or serviced. They will not give you hand-arm vibration. They are cheaper to run. They will not give you a serious electric shock.
Okay, so if we're not using electric, we're not going to get a serious electric shock. Although it could be still those ones as well, but the main advantage is they'll not give you a serious electric shock.
What is best practice when using a power tool with a rotating blade? Adjust the guard to expose just enough blade to let you do the job. Remove the guard so that you can clearly see the blade. Adjust the guard to expose the maximum amount of blade. Remove the guard, but wear leather gloves to protect your hands.
Okay, so the rotating blade, of course, you're going to adjust the guard just to expose enough blade, allowing you to do the job.
When is it safe to work close to an overhead power line? If you use a wooden ladder for access. If the power is switched off. if you do not touch the line for more than 30 seconds. If it is not raining whilst you are working.
Yeah, straightforward, nice and safe.
How do residual current devices, RCDs, work? Giving an audible warning. By storing electric charge. By showing a flashing light. By cutting power quickly if there is a fault.
Okay, so the RCDs, which is the residual current device, they actually cut off the power if there's an emergency or there's a fault. The recommended voltage on site is 110. You would use an RCD if you're using 230 voltage. It is yellow in colour, and if you need to use it, it gets in between the socket and the main tool.
You are using a generator to power some lighting when a lamp blows. You have a spare lamp. What should you do? Replace the lamp without disconnecting the generator. Disconnect the lighting from the generator before replacing the lamp. Wait for a fully qualified electrician with a NIC/EIC card. Carry on working in the dark.
Okay, so we're just changing the lamp. It's the same as changing a light bulb. So you're just going to connect it from the generator before you're replacing it. You don't need a qualified electrician.
What does it mean if the equipment you are using is issued with a prohibition notice? You can use it as long as you take more care. Only supervisors can use it until further notice. You must not use it until it is made safe. You must not use it unless your supervisor is present.
Okay, so the number of different notices. So you do have a prohibition notice, which means you're not working in, don't use it, or you cannot enter it anywhere till it's made safe. And the other type of notice which HSE can issue you is an improvement notice, which means you are not working in a safe manner.
Why is it essential to be fully trained before using a cartridge-operated tool? They can cause dermatitis when used for long periods. They have exposed electrical parts. They are heavy and could cause manual handling injuries. They operate like a gun and can be dangerous in inexperienced hands.
Okay, so cartridge-operated tools, things like nail guns, very dangerous. Do operate like a gun. They can take your hand off if you're inexperienced, so the answer is D.
What are the two main visual inspections you should carry out before using a power tool? Check switches, triggers, and make sure the guards are adjusted and work correctly. Make sure the manufacturer's label hasn't come off. Check it is marked with a security stamp. Make sure the carry case isn't broken. Check the power lead, plug and casing are in good condition.
Okay, so with all tools, and it's the same as ladders, anything that you use, you need to visually inspect them before you use them. And visual inspections, certainly in power tools, let's just drag these across. So you're going to check the switches. The other one that jumped out to me straight away was check the power lead. So again, just have a look at what you've got left. That just don't really make sense to this. So the answer is A and E.
You need to work near an electric cable, but the cable has bare wires. What should you do? Tell your supervisor and keep well away from the cable. Quickly touch the cable to see if it is live. Check there are no sparks coming from the cable and then start work. Push the cable out of the way so that you can start work.
Well, 100% there's only one answer.
Why do building sites use a 110 volt electricity supply instead of a 230 volt supply? It is less likely to kill you. It is cheaper. It is safer for the environment. It moves faster along the cables.
Well, it's less likely to kill you. That's why we need the RCD if you are using a 230.
What is the recommended maximum voltage for electrical equipment on construction sites? 12 volts, 24 volts, 230 volts, 110 volts.
As previously mentioned, it's 110.
Why is it considered poor practice to store batteries loose in a tool bag? The tool bag will be heavy and could damage your back. They give off a poisonous gas in a confined space. You might forget to charge them. If the terminals short out, they could cause a fire.
Okay, so with loose batteries, the terminals may just short out and they could actually catch on fire.
What 2 things should you do to reduce trips and injuries caused by untidy leads and extension cables? Run cables and leads above head height and over the top of doorways and walkways. Only use thinner 230-volt extension cables. Make sure your cables have not been used before. Keep trailing cables and leads close to the wall. Tie any excess cables and leads up into the smallest coil possible.
Okay, so in order to prevent trips and injury slips with that, so if you're indoors, we need to run them cables above head height and over the doors. Use thin extension cable, no. Move the cables, and then no. Keep trailing cables right, so you're going to keep them as close to the wall as possible. You would never tie access cable or leads up in the smallest coil possible. And again, sometimes I know this may get overlooked in certain work areas, but you must uncoil the whole extension lead because of fire risks, fire safety reasons.
You need to use an air-powered tool. What 3 hazards are likely to affect you? Airborne dust and flying fragments. An electric shock. Being struck by a poorly secured hose. Hand-arm vibration. Radiation.
Okay, air-powered tools, so it's non-electric, so you're not going to get an electric shock. They're going to be very powerful, so it's going to be dust in the air. It is a hose, so it's an air-powered tool, so you could be hit by a poorly secured hose, and potentially you could give you hand-arm vibration syndrome. Remember, HAVS, hand-arm vibration syndrome, is the permanent damage to the fingertips through vibratory tools. And if you just look there, it's air-powered, it's not electric, and you're not going to get radiation.
Do simple hand tools like trowels, screwdrivers, saws and hammers need to be inspected? No, it is not necessary to check such tools. Yes, the tools should be checked each time they are used. Only if someone else has borrowed the tools. Only if the tools have not been used for a few weeks.
Straightforward, yes.
Why should a residual current device, RCD, be used with 230-volt tools? It quickly cuts off the power if there is a fault. It saves energy and lowers costs. It lowers the voltage automatically. It makes the tool run at a safe speed.
Okay, as we previously mentioned, it does cut off the power in an emergency.
You have been asked to dig to expose power cables. You have been given a cable avoidance tool, CAT, to detect them. But you haven't been shown how to use it. What should you do? Dig the hole without using the cable avoidance tool. Read the manual before you start work. Ask a colleague to show you how to use it. Tell your supervisor that you haven't been trained.
Yeah, of course, you're going to just mention that you haven't been trained.
What is the main danger when using a chisel or bolster with a mushroomed head? The shaft of the chisel will bend, putting a strain on your wrist. It will shatter and send fragments flying into the air. The hammer could slip off the head of the bolster or chisel. You are more likely to hit your hand with the chisel head.
Okay, so a bit of a tricky question. So your mushroom-shaped bolsters and chisels, solid metal. Now, yes, it could be all four of them, but the question's saying what is the main danger? If you're just having a look there, look, you hitting them little fragile pieces with a hammer, then they potentially could shatter and send fragments into the air. So the answer is B.
What colour is a 110-volt power cable and connector? Blue, red, black, yellow.
Mentioned before, yellow.
What two things should you do if you need to use an extension cable? Check the whole cable and connectors for damage. Only check the part of the cable you need for damage. Clean the cable with a damp cloth. Only uncoil the length of cable you need. Uncoil the whole cable.
Okay, so I mentioned that before. Again, I know these get overlooked, but uncoil the whole cable, and you need to check the cable and connectors for damage. Just having a look there, only check the part, no. Clean, no.
Where is the best place for a portable residual current device, RCD, to be fitted? Anywhere in the 230-volt supply to the building, between the plug of a 230-volt tool and the supply socket, near to the main fuse box, inside the main transformer.
Yeah, mentioned it before, so it goes in between the main socket and the tool itself.
When do you need to check tools and equipment for damage? Once a week. Each time before use. At least once a year. Every day.
Yeah, always before you use them.
What should be done before adjusting an electric hand tool? You should never adjust an electric hand tool yourself. Switch it off and remove the plug from the socket. Put tape over the power switch before adjusting. Switch it off, but leave the plug in the socket.
Yeah, again, safety. Of course, you're just going to switch it off and take it out the socket.
What two things should you do if you need to run an electrical cable across an area used by vehicles? Run the cable at head height. Cover the cable with a protective ramp. Put up a sign that says ramp ahead. Cover the cable with scaffold boards. Wrap the cable in yellow tape so that drivers can see it.
Okay, so this time we're outdoors. Remember, indoors, run them above head height and close to the wall. If you're outdoors, it's pointless to run them above head height, isn't it? Because firstly, there may be nowhere to run them above head height, and secondly, vehicles are a hell of a lot bigger than above head height. So what we're going to do is you're going to cover the cable with a protective ramp. Now, whenever you're putting ramps up or you're putting fences up, you have to put signs up.
Which two of the following statements about power tools are true? Power tools should always be left plugged in when you check or adjust them. You should always carry the tool by its cord. You should always unplug the tool when you are not using it. You must be trained and competent to use any power tool. A power tool should be unplugged by pulling its cord.
Well, firstly, the keywords jump out to me straight away. Trained and competent. Anything that says trained, authorised, competent, pick it. And you should always unplug the tool when not in use. Yes, of course it is.
What is the best way to protect an extension cable and also reduce trip hazards? Run the cable by the shortest route. Cover the cable with pieces of wood. Run the cable above head height. Cover the cable with yellow tape.
Yeah, of course, we're going to run it above head height.
Apart from dust, vibration, noise and flying fragments, identify another significant hazard in this image.
Okay, so if you get this question like this, you have to click on what you think is a hazard. So remember what a hazard is. The hazard is the potential to cause you harm. So to me, he's looking like he's wearing all the correct PPE. So they are not really a hazard. So the next one would be the trailing wire. So for me, the trailing wire would be the hazard. Now, again, please, when you come to do your test, don't rush and click there or like that. Just make sure, I would just, for safety, go there. Because if you're just clicking there, you may just get that wrong. I don't want to attempt it, but I'm going to mark it there. So just make sure you get right over the wire.
You need to use a 230 volt item of equipment. How should you protect yourself from an electric shock? Wear rubber boots and gloves. Use a generator which has been serviced. Put up safety screens around you. Use a portable residual current device, RCD.
Yeah, so we're going to use the RCD 4230.
Which item of equipment would not require portable appliance testing? 110 volt transformer, plug-in breaker, 110 volt extension lead, hammer and bolster.
Okay, similar question we had earlier on. Remember, anything that needs pat testing, anything with a plug. So hammers and bolsters don't have plugs, so D is the answer.
What should you do if the guard is missing from a power tool? Try to make another guard. Do not use the tool until a proper guard has been fitted. Use the tool, but work carefully and slowly. Use the tool, but try to work quickly.
Yeah, of course, just for safety reasons, I had a bit of a brain freeze there. Yeah, you do not use anything, any of the questions where it'll say stop work. Do not use. They're always going to be the answers. It's all safety.
Why is it dangerous to run an abrasive wheel faster than its recommended maximum speed? The wheel will get clogged and stop. The wheel could shatter into many pieces. The safety guard cannot be used. The motor could burst into flames.
Okay, so the wheel could actually shatter into many pieces.
Which requirement must be met before operating a power tool? You must be trained and competent. You must be over 18 years old. You must only operate it when your supervisor is present. You must have a gold CSCS card.
Okay, hopefully you should know by now. Trained and competent. It's the answer.
What should you do if the electrical equipment you are using cuts out? Switch off the power and look for signs of damage. Shake it to see if it will start again. Pull the electric cable to see if it is loose. Switch the power off and on a few times.
Yeah, it only could be one answer.
What should you do if an extension cable has a cut in its outer cover? Report the fault and make sure that no one else uses the cable. Check the copper wires aren't showing in the cut and then use the cable. Put a bigger fuse in the cable plug. Put electrical tape around the damaged part.
Got to report it and make sure nobody uses it.
What should you do if the head on your hammer becomes loose? Find another heavy tool to use instead of the hammer. Tell the other people near you to keep out of the way. Stop work and get the hammer repaired or replaced. Keep using it, but be aware that the head could come off at any time.
There you go, look, stop work, immediately stop work, repair it, replace it. Always, always the answer.
You have been asked to use a hand tool or power tool on site. You know that it is the right tool for the job. What else must you check? That it was bought from a builder's merchant. That it was made in the UK. That it is inspected before you use it. That it is inspected at the start of each week.
Like everything, you're going to inspect things before you use them.
If someone near you is using a petrol cut-off saw, disc cutter to cut concrete blocks, what 3 immediate hazards are likely to affect you? Vibration white finger, high noise levels, harmful dust in the air, contact dermatitis, flying fragments.
Okay, so let's just try the method that I was talking to you about before. Let's drag what you think the answers are. So, immediate ones for me. So, again, what 3 effects are likely to affect you? Noise levels, dust in the air, and flying fragments. You're not going to get hand-arm vibration syndrome or white finger, and you're not going to contact dermatitis, that's a skin rash. So them are the obvious answers, so that is correct.
Which method is used to check if a residual current device, RCD, connected to a power tool is working? Press the test button on the RCD. Run the tool at top speed to see if it cuts out. Switch the tool on and off. Use a handheld RCD test meter.
Okay, so what you're going to do on the RCD, there's a little test button at the top, so you're going to press that to make sure it's functioning correctly.
Why are battery-powered tools preferred over 110-volt tools in a construction environment? They are quieter. They are cheaper to run. They are safer. They are more powerful.
Of course, yeah. Safer.
Residual current devices, RCDs, should have a mechanical trip test at which intervals? If not used for a week or more, daily, monthly, before each use.
You should have this by now, always before each use. Okay, guys, that's your 43 questions on your electrical safety tools and equipment. The 1 or 2 little tricky ones, but again, it's about reading the question correctly. If need be, go back through the video, have a look at the few trickier ones. Remember I think the mushroom-shaped chisel or bolster was probably one of the trickiest ones. So I hope you've got a few hints and some tips out of that. Remember, out of those 43 questions, you're going to get 4 or 5 of those questions on your actual CSCS test. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you in the next video.